Welcome to the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube, Hot Garbage Sports with me, Coach Ryan D. Bruins fans, is a lot brewing around the Bruins. Very punny this morning, this Saturday. There are tons of news, notes, and rumors with Boston Bruin and league impacting impacts. Yep, league impacting impacts going around. So we're going to talk about Patrice Bergeron trade rumors, Tuukka Rask re-signing with the Bruins, Linus Ullmark trade rumors, Jake DeBrusk trade rumors. Where are the Bruins going? What are the Bruins doing? Are the Bruins going to make the playoffs? Everything Boston Bruins right now, rumors, notes, trades. Let's get after it. All right, so let's start with the big one. There's rumors flying around. There's not rumors. There's just media and radio analysts saying Patrice Bergeron should be traded. Let's start why this happens. Trades happen in the NHL when UFAs get to a certain age and go to cup contenders. So right now, because Boston has a massive uphill climb into the playoffs, unfortunately, we talked about it in our midseason preview, that the perfection line plus Charlie McAvoy, the questions at goaltending. Who knows where the Bruins could end? They could end up in the top three. They could end up outside. Looks like they're on the outside. So right now, when teams are in this position at game number 25, analysts start talking about trades and they look at guys the age of Bergeron who are unrestricted free agents and still super productive as large return for cup contending teams. The other reason is that Patrice Bergeron has a moderate cap hit for how good he is at just over $6 million. So if you're just reading the stats, you go, yeah, this should happen, but it won't. And there's a few reasons why it won't. Number one, and I've said this on this channel many times, if you put all the players right back to age 19 years old today in the NHL, reset everybody to 19, we all know what talent they have. I actually have Patrice Bergeron as the top 3 player you would want to build around. It's Bergeron, it's Crosby, it's McDavid, and I don't blame anybody for taking Patrice Bergeron even over those two. He has been that damn good in his career. He is that damn good as a player. Take that one to the bank. Bruins fans know this. Everybody outside of Bruins country, they're going to be like, you're nuts. You're just not watching the game. You don't understand it if you don't agree. So Bergeron has been that good. Bergeron still has another 2 or 3 years in order to be good with the Bruins. So I don't see Bergeron burning out. The other reason I don't see Bergeron leaving is the fact that Bergeron's only hometown has been Boston. He loves playing in Boston. He's the captain of the Bruins. I don't see Bergeron wanting to leave, and I don't see the Bruins wanting to get rid of Bergeron. The Bruins hate rebuilds. They don't want to rebuild. The owner hates missing the playoffs. He will do anything in his power to make the playoffs. He loves the playoff revenue. That's why it's great to be a Boston sports fan and a Bruins fan. They're always in contention, whether it's the Bruins, the Patriots, the Red Sox. Boston loves sports. Don't worry, didn't forget about the Celtics either. So I don't see Bergeron going anywhere. He won't want to leave. I don't think Boston will want to leave. And they've already called out the rumors as crazy. So I'm saying it right now, Patrice Bergeron is not traded. Patrice Bergeron re-signs with the Bruins on a very team-friendly deal next year, and the Bruins get super aggressive in the offseason and up to the trade deadline, maybe trying to acquire veteran players to come to Boston to be able to bolster another cup run. And Bruins fans, if you're new to Hot Garbage Sports, consider giving us a smash, a subscribe, join us. We love covering the Bruins and all the best news, notes, and rumors in the NHL. All right, so number 2, the Jake DeBrusk trade rumors. Jake DeBrusk, he's not a bust, but he feels so painful because Boston had 3 back-to-back picks. They missed on Kyle Connor, they missed on Thomas Chabot, and they missed on Matthew Barzal. Could you imagine a Bruins team with those 3 plus the perfection line? Oh, what a bad draft. Anywho, sorry to bring up painful memories of that, but wherever we stand, Jake DeBrusk's value is at an all-time low in the NHL. He's got a reasonable cap hit at about $3.5 million. He's still young. He could still resurge, and we've seen plenty of examples of players such as Sam Bennett trading scenery, going down to Florida and finding success. So maybe if DeBrusk is traded, he can be like some of the many players in their mid-20s. A Strome is another example, going over to New York. Maybe he can be like these guys and resurge his career in his mid-20s. The problem with it is any team that would want DeBrusk right now, they know he's coming in as a 3rd or a 4th line player at best into their squad. You hope he ends up being a 2nd line, but how much cap space do you have to acquire a winger? And at the trade deadline, wingers are nice, but they're not as coveted as defensemen or centermen, as we all No. So you need wingers to be producing, and Jake DeBrusk isn't producing right now. But where are a couple places that DeBrusk could go, and what would Boston want in return? Let's start with what they'd want in return. Boston likely doesn't want draft picks. Boston likely wants veteran players that can come in and impact the team now. So who are some teams out there that have some veteran players that could impact them? Number one that comes to mind, it's actually Phil the Thrill. You end up taking Phil the Thrill out of Arizona into Boston. You got to do a little bit of cap magic to make it happen, but Arizona can likely retain some of the salary. Arizona's like the guy you just pick on to go ahead and give players to and take players to. They are a waste of time in the NHL. Coyotes, you suck. Anywho, Kessel doesn't suck. So you might be able to bring in Kessel right now and join the old guard there in Boston for some kind of, rematrimony of sorts and go forward. Another guy that you could be looking at is maybe a Claude Giroux out of Philadelphia. I think his time is done. Boston definitely needs another centerman after the departure of David Krejci. Giroux could be that guy. Again, some cap magic would need to be done, but Giroux's been playing on the wing. I think he easily moves back to the center, and you can move Coyle back to the third line. I think Giroux's still got a lot left to give. It's just not in Philadelphia anymore, so Boston could go ahead and take a look at that one. Speaking of a Strome, how about Dylan Strome out of the Hawks? How about any player out of the Hawks right now? The Hawks have a couple veterans that they look like they could end up dealing over. It won't be Taves, it won't be Kane. The cap hit is definitely too high. It won't be Kirby Dach. He's definitely too young, but Strome is a candidate out of Chicago right now. And finally, the last one that really makes my list, and I would love this one if I was the Bruins. Bruins would go insane. I don't know if it's going to happen, but San Jose is in this weird spot that Boston is, and Tomas Hertl is just one of the best players and probably one of the only tradable assets out of San Jose right now. DeBrusk could go in. Hertl could come back over. He's a moderate cap hit as well too. Tomas Hertl would just be a dream for the Boston Bruins to be able to pull over. He comes in at number 5 on Canada's TSN's trade bait board there. Bruins, it's like our version of ESPN if you're in America, but it's an interesting thought. I think he may be on the move. I really, really like that move. So if you can find a way to do a DeBrusk for Hertl, I think Boston would have to give up a little bit more. You probably have to throw in likely a first round pick in there as well. Hertl's that good. We all know that Boston will literally trade anybody to stay in the playoffs and trade anything to get the right players in there, with the exception of Patrice Bergeron. We just talked about why. So I could definitely see Tomas Hertl moving over. All right, the number 3 big thing for Boston right now is that Tuukka Rask could come back and re-sign with the Bruins. If this ends up happening, people are saying Swayman is the odd man out. I actually believe if this ends up happening, we talk about Boston's activity, Linus Ullmark could actually end up being traded and traded quickly and traded just simply for cap space and cap relief. I don't know what they end up getting for him because you have Khudobin on the trade market right now, who is slightly cheaper than him. I mean, it's a little over, it's $6 million and $3 million. So take that for where it is. You also have Carey Price rumors out there. There are teams that need goaltenders. Everything gets tied back to the Edmonton Oilers right now because it is their window theoretically to win a Stanley Cup, and they are a goalie away from it. So maybe some kind of deal to move Ullmark over there, but Price has been tied there. So is Khudobin. And I just want to point out the fact goalies rarely move at the trade deadline and mid-season like this, and that's because there's so much uncertainty to them. You draft them low because there's uncertainty. That's why the goalie rounds are round 3 to 6 because it's low risk and they bust a lot. But it's the same thing with trades. When they're already locked into these big contract deals, you don't know if they're going to work for your team. So usually goalies move in the offseason. If Tuukka ends up coming back, Swayman can go down to the minors without having to clear waivers. That's good for the Bruins. But I do think if Tuukka comes back, an Ullmark deal needs to be impending. They got to find a way to ditch this guy. And hey, maybe you package Ullmark and DeBrusk and you send them over to the lowly Arizona Coyotes who have mass amount of cap space and literally take anybody, and you can get Kessel or something else on the return. Okay, Bruins fans, those are the 3 big things going on in Boston right now. Here's my final prediction. Will the Bruins make the playoffs? Odds are likely not, but I think they're going to make some big moves, and somehow Boston's going to sneak in here, and they're going to be the team nobody wants to play in the wild card. It's the bloody Bruins, and whether you win or you lose, you always lose because they just end up beating you up. It's always a tough series against Boston. So Bruins fans, stay positive, stay hopeful. There's a lot going on in B-Town right now. This has been Coach Ryan D. Subscribe, like, join us. Love covering Bruins hockey.